Hi, this is Emily with Pixel Breakdown, and today I have some of the developers from Stunbyte here to talk with us about developing Driveloop. Do you guys want to give a brief introduction as to who you are and what the game is about?
Yeah, you want to go, Borja?
Yeah, I can go. So my name is Borja Fernandez, and I'm co-founder together with Santiago here, and with another artist that's not here with us now. And we've been working on Driveloop for almost a year already. And yeah, basically, we met each other a few years ago, and just decided to start this adventure. And yeah, you can present yourself, and then we can say a bit of what's the game
My
about.
name is Santiago Benito. I'm from Spain, but based in Berlin. The company is also in Berlin. Yeah, and I'm co-founder, also programmer, and co-founder of Driveloop.
I didn't mention.
On Driveloop, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't mention. I'm also programmer and also designer. And as you know, like any other indies, like many hats at sometimes.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And what about Driveloop? Like, what kind of game is it, and what can people expect?
So Driveloop is basically a survivors-like game, but with a twist, with several twists actually. But the main twist is that the player gets to play or pilot a car, a 20s year car, and that's like the main different thing. It's also in 3D. We're getting a bit away from the 2D style and aesthetics that's actually dominating the genre. And yeah, so the thing is, you get to drive these cars that can ram over hundreds of enemies, just also your guns manually or automatically, and you can drift also. So these are like the three main mechanics of the game, and we have many other different aspects that moves us a little bit away from the others, which is, for example, having real cities as base of the maps. So, for example, first one is Berlin, the second one is Paris. It's set up in a dystopic future, post-apocalyptic. Yeah, so hence the wasteland style sometimes, and some others just abandoned cityscapes. And yeah, I would say that's the main things for the game, for making Driveloop a little bit different from the genre of survivor-like.
Yeah. One thing I noticed when I was looking into y'all is, like, I don't know if this is the correct word, but like the videography, like your like the promotional videos that y'all make are so they're perfect, really, I would say, because like it has just the right blend of like cutscenes or like animation type video, but then also mixing in actual gameplay. Like it's everything like a gamer wants to see. And something about like the music and everything that was thrown together, like the way things were shot, it was like, I want to jump in and play. Like, I'm ready for this game. I think it gave like a good introductory sort of like into what your game is. So I'm curious, do you have somebody who handles that?
No, I mean, we have the third colleague that is not here, that is the artist. Is basically, he did all the trailers and all the cinematics, but he's not like a specialist on that, like he's more like a 3D artist. Like, of course, like us, does a bit of everything, but the specialization that he has is more in like development, not in like video style.
Yeah.
So he did everything of course, with our feedback, with our ideas also, we try to participate as much as possible, but we don't have anyone like dedicated only for that. Yeah. And actually you commented out the music, I would say is the hardest part. We start every trailer that we did, we start for the song. So we spend a lot of time choosing the right song and then fitting the gameplay or what we're showing to actually the song.
Yeah, y'all did a great job.
Thank you.
We had like many discussions with the songs, like because we're three. I mean, sometimes one or two would like the song, and the other was like, nah, it's not really fitting. The tempo's not right. The introduction is too long or too short. Yeah, it's. I think it's the hardest part that we had to do for the or design for the trailer or decide.
Yeah. Also, I would say that especially me and Borja, since we can only give feedback of what Pavel, the other guy, is doing, we try to actually listen also what people that knows says. So we, like a lot of YouTube, a lot of like people that has like good trailers and trailers that worked, getting a lot of like information about how it should be, and then trying to replicate that into our trailers, of course.
I love that. I mean, the time that y'all spend, like even fine tuning and getting the right song, really pays off, I think. And I noticed this with indie devs where you don't have a specialist, but you kind of work together to get something together like that meets what your like requirements are. But I think since it's so personal to you, like it's your game, your project, something about that, really drives you to put like the best stuff together. So yeah, I think this is a great example. Yeah. So what inspired you to create Driveloop? Like how did the studio decide on this game to create?
So the original idea came from Pavel, actually. So he had just like a very bare bones idea, just a very basic idea, right? And presented to us while we were working. We were like in another company working together, and we were just talking about the idea. And then we thought that the base basically was like a survivors-ish, like not exactly, but something like that. Like you drive a car and it's like in a post-apocalyptic, or at least I think the first idea was actually more that the player faction was cleaner, or like Art Deco style from the 20s, maybe be modified, sure, like it's science fiction, right? But like that style-ish. And from there we built everything. So he had that base idea. Then we did meetings, and we were just like brainstorming, putting ideas in, and that slowly grew up to what Driveloop is. Still not there. We're still developing it, right? But I would say that the base idea came from Pavel, and then we built on top of that idea of the car survivors and the static, especially.
Pavel is the artist, by the way.
Yeah.
So I think we didn't mention his name before.
Okay. Yeah. I think that it's a very interesting concept, and the like Art Deco style really fits well with the like steampunk sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is not much about it. Like there is, you can think, I guess, Bioshock, and there is some, of course, but there is not much usually. Or they go like full Art Deco, and you can feel that it's like very goldy, everything very like grandiose, like very big, like, very cool and clean. Or they go more to the steampunk route, like Mad Max or like stuff like that. There is not much mixing, and we liked since the beginning that idea of the player faction is the coolest in terms of aesthetic, at least, and then the other ones are more like punk. There is also diesel punk that is kind of like with engines and dirt, and that style. And we thought that was like a very good match, right? One versus the other.
Yeah, definitely. They aesthetically are pleasing to see mixed onto a screen. Which actually was leading to my next question, which we kind of already answered, was like how you decided to like blend these unique styles. And it was kind of just, this is what we think looks good, and let's further that.
Yeah.
So I think one of the main topics was like, okay, how do we justify that's a survivors? Because we didn't want to just throw in the map like some props, some kinds of cars or some kinds of enemies, and deal with it as a player. We wanted to at least have something, some common ground, some
reason, I would say.
Some lore, some background to the game, even if it's not the main thing of survivors, right? But still, we wanted to be a little bit more than the typical survivors. And for this, we thought, okay, it's a post-apocalyptic for sure, because you need to have a lot of empty space. I mean, you can create all other themes or aesthetics for this, but I think post-apocalyptic fits perfectly. And then we start, okay, steampunk is the most classical for post-apocalyptic, and then if we want to make um, some contrast, player versus enemies, okay, what can it feed, what could it feed? Because also in the very beginning, we had the main car, like super, almost already done in the very beginning, like the first month or so, or even earlier actually. And you could see clearly that it's steampunkish, but just a little bit, but super art deco. And then I just tried to come up with a background story of how this could be. Then I thought, okay, yes, maybe like in the year 20s or something, which is where this aesthetics were like the prominent, and something happened, like like something a bit cliche, but this scientific crazy guy just made up some robots, took over the world, and then the humans were like hidden for a lot of years, like 100 years. We said, okay, so it's more like now in the present, like 2020s decade. And what happened is, like, over these 100 years, your art deco became a little bit steampunk, because you had to, I mean, the humans in this story, let's say, they had to savage and uh, yeah,
Yeah, so there is
and
no factories,
scavenge.
right?
Yeah, so they had to get some materials from the robots that they slowly could take down or stuff like this, and then just improve their own vehicles until they got to a point where they could face the robot empire, or however you want to call it. And yeah, that's mostly it. I mean, it was just trying to do a um, I don't know how to say it, but like tracking back on the story, how can we get here with a story
Yeah.
that's at least something. I mean, it's not obviously it's not gonna make Spielberg emotional, but I mean, it's something. It's more than, okay, there's a landscape there, fight some monsters, and that's it.
Yeah, especially
Yeah.
having the real cities makes sense that fits in the world and not
Yeah,
just random cities. Yeah.
Yeah, tying in the cities and the steampunk aesthetic just in general lends well to the post-apocalyptic, because it is, yeah, like you put stuff together, pieces that you can find to build things. So yeah, I think it all fits really well. Um, what were some of the like most difficult design choices that you had to make through development? It seems like a lot of it came almost naturally as you're like building stuff up, but were there any things that were kind of hard?
I mean, I would say that we had a long pre-production. We're gonna talk, I think, later more in detail. But since we had some time between, like we have the idea, but we don't know if we're gonna do the project yet. We had like all that time in between doing pre-production, so we were like coming up with ideas or coming up with like trying to design as much as possible, so we don't have that problem later on in the development. And I would say since the beginning, or at least when we were starting to design the maps, that are, at least for me, one of the like big design choices that could could have gone wrong, but could have been like could have impact the game a lot, is the decision of having obstacles and like obstacles and collisions for the player, etc. Because usually in survivors it's just like a complete empty map, so you can go everywhere freely. But they have borders, but that's it. That's your collision basically, and the enemies don't need to do any pathfinding or do anything. But we wanted to actually have something in there because, of course, like with the car makes sense because you can drift, so it makes sense that you can actually hit something, and that, of course, as a fallback has that the enemies need to navigate that terrain or that world, so it makes all the movement for the enemies and all the collision for the enemies, etc., a lot more, yeah, just more complicated, more harder to handle. So I would say that that's the biggest, at least for me, I can think of, like decision that we need to make because of the design. So the design will be the world, right? And then because of that, a lot of systems that needs to be in place for it.
yeah. I can think of another one that to me it pains me the most, and I hope that at some point we can, um, like implement it somehow. But right now the car can't get lift. They can't lift off the floor. You can't jump. You can't do any stunts or anything, and that would be such an amazing feature. But yeah, we didn't. I mean, we didn't have the time to try to implement it in the right way. Not only technically, but also like the design should make sense. Um, what happens if you get stuck in I don't know, in some props on top of them or something like this? You could try to avoid these situations, but it's more problems than rewards that actually would get from this in the early beginning at least of the game. I mean, for later on when we have like the most of the game done after the early access, might make sense to explore this idea again, because honestly I think it would be such a cool feature, and maybe even for game modes or something. And I don't
Yeah, it
know.
would be cool. The main problem with that was always the how you hit enemies, right? Because right now,
Yeah.
since everything is flat, you can just shoot and they're in the same plane always. But in the moment that
Right.
you introduce like the third axis and you can go up and down, how you actually shoot them, like could be because the game is already for the type of game that we're doing, or if you compare to other survivors needs more attention than others because it's more fast paced. Like you need to be driving, not just moving, with basic character movement. So like needs more attention from the player. If you introduce that, it's like another thing to have in account when you're playing. Another thing that you need to plan. Like, is this projectile gonna hit now, or I'm too high for that enemy to hit? It's just another layer.
Yeah.
That yeah, I agree though that maybe at some point we could explore, especially for different like modes. Maybe not of normal survivor mode, but I don't know, maybe some drifting mode. I don't know, some
Uh,
different type of mode.
I think that one, you're saying that like survival games that like the screen is typically empty. Y'all's screen is definitely far from empty. When I was
Yeah.
looking at it, it's a lot of stuff going on, but it's exciting. That being said, like, yeah, it is top down, right?
Yes.
The vision.
Yep.
So like I could see how it would be hard to implement in a way that feels comfortable for the player, the ability to jump, because sometimes it's a little harder to like judge some of the physics behind that when you're only seeing the top part, right?
Or if
Yeah.
there's a building and you jump directly into what happens then? Like you see the
Right.
car just bouncing, or how we handle that. It's not straightforward. It's not impossible. It's just not as straightforward as just flat. You cannot move from the surface.
I think sometimes limiting, it's like if you are dealing with like your whatever acts or like planes that you're dealing with, if you've like perfected that, it's okay to like limit, like you want things done right, I can tell. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what choices you end up making. But there is always the possibility of Driveloop 2, right? And you can keep in mind these things that you want to add in maybe. So yeah, it's interesting to see. But yeah, it sounds like a typical like developer's dilemma where you've set up the game perfectly for this one way and you've really perfected that way. And then it's like, well, it would be nice to add in this other thing though.
Yeah.
So Driveloop features like a unique blend of drifting, ramming, and shooting. How do you ensure that these mechanics felt smooth and satisfying?
I'm going to say that that's a job that never ends. So it's something that you just do a pass kind of often and try to improve it. Because if you compare the how the car was controlling the first day and now, of course, it's completely different. But in between, there were steps also. Was not from not working to what we have now. So I would say it's just iterating over the system, like over and over and over until you're close, because perfect is never going to be, like nothing can be completely perfect, but you can be very close to what you thought should be. I would say that that's my my comment about it. I don't know. Borja did more about the controller, so maybe he has more input.
Yeah, I think it's not so much about the controller. What I would like to say, but it's more about how we encourage the player, not to engage, to do crazy stuff all the time, to not play defensive. I mean, it's nothing bad with playing defensive and doing, I don't know, like just ignoring most of the cool features like drifting
Right.
or ramming. You could do that for sure, and if you just want to play with guns, and that's completely fine. I mean, there's these three different focuses with the builds, and also you can blend them, you can mix them for sure. But it's completely fine if you want to go for the simplest one, because we know also that's a more complicated game, or I mean, it's not super crazy, but it's more complex than the regular Survivor. So we understand that maybe people don't want to think that much as we thought they might. But for sure, some people would like to go crazy. So we just want to give all the tools for them to play as they want. And on the other side, yes, trying to encourage them to see, okay, like you can have this fire flamethrower ability that when you drift, it's super cool. You'll do a lot of damage, and you will see like it's just cool to watch. So we want to. I think having this kind of skills and abilities, makes them want to play in these styles, or we hope so. And I mean the same for ramming, for everything. Yeah, basically that's it. I just don't want to.
No, I was gonna say that also about that. I think if you do mechanic that is just fun to do it, even if they don't have the need to use it, they're gonna use it. Because if it's fun, they just do it, right?
Yeah.
And drifting is one good example of it, yeah. With that, because we have an item that just does that, and everyone loves it. You're not forced to use it. You don't need to use it, but everyone chooses it when they have the opportunity.
Yeah. That's a good point. If it's fun to do, like even if they don't have to, players are more inclined to do the fun thing.
Yeah.
And I will say, like, I think what you mentioned about giving the player options on how they play, that's great too, because we like being able to choose to play like in our play style, like how we most feel comfortable playing is nice. It's nice to give the player options. This actually ties into like my next question, which was, how do you encourage the player to stay aggressive rather than just like dodging and running? But it sounds like you give sort of the option to maybe make it a little difficult, but it's there, the option.
Also, I would say design-wise, you try to design it in a way that even if you have different options, all try to like make you engage and not, I don't know, we don't have it, but like as an example, if something gives you speed, that you could say that is easier for you to run, maybe also gives you damage, right? So you're kind of telling to the player, okay, you have the speed, but you're going to have more damage also. Use that speed to do more damage to enemies and not just run from them, right?
Right.
So like I tie the design of the items or abilities or everything in the game, right, to be engaging and not just running. Yeah.
That makes sense. I know I say this a lot, but I love seeing like speedrunners do meme like runs where it's like, driving without do this whole run without shooting the gun once, or like completing Skyrim only with your fists. And like, I think that those are great. Like whenever there is the option for players to kind of diverge from the normal gameplay and still complete it. But it also sounds like you're giving the player the choice of doing like intelligent design in like the way that they play. So it's like, if you have ramped up your like gun to be really strong, why wouldn't you use it?
Yeah. Of course, you can still not use it, but like they should be able also to not do anything funny if they don't want to.
Yeah, but also there's other stuff, because usually in the early stages of survivors, they were pretty simple. It was just basically enemies, kill them, and survive. But there was nothing in between. No events, no quests, no nothing to do. And some games have already started doing this. Deep Rock Galactic Survivors, for example, is one of the main ones that's constantly telling you, okay, you have to do a lot of stuff, and on the side, kill all the enemies because you will need to kill them just to survive. But the main mission is not actually killing them. I mean, partially it's a little bit because that's how you awake the final boss, let's say. But you have a lot of stuff to do in between, and we love that. You were going to say something, yeah, Santiago?
Yeah. I was going to say that even the classic ones like Vampire Survivors, that is the first one that you can think of, with updates and expansions, etc., they introduced all this stuff. So like even the old ones noticed that was just a better like design, introducing like not events directly, but you have more things to do in the map, more than just killing enemies.
Yep. Basically, that's some of the ways that we try to implement to have them something to do besides killing or destroying, so they don't necessarily just run around the group of enemies until they level up to run around again, and break this loop a little bit and move them from part of the map to another part, just do some objectives, some special enemies that will not probably go for you, but maybe they just roam around the map, and then you have to find them and kill them and get loot. We're trying to get some ideas from other games that does this well, but not exactly in a Survivor. So yeah, we're getting some inspiration from others.
It sounds like y'all spent a lot of time like researching, because you were saying that's how you did it with like promotional videos, and then also with just like the games in general, like studying what these other games have done and seeing what you like and what you don't like, and then trying to translate it sort of.
Yeah, completely. Like, I mean, but because not doing would be also stupid in my opinion. Like we have people that have products and like games that work. Let's see why and how they work, right?
Yeah, I think it's pretty basic, and everybody that's trying to make a commercial game should do 100%. I mean, you have to study your competition. You have to see what works, what doesn't work, what you want to try to improve maybe or do different, but also always keeping track of how the market is and in every term, like anything.
That's great advice, I'd say. And then, so when you're saying that you add in these like tasks or challenges, achievement type things, is that like kill 50 enemies on this map or something that makes it to where, they have to stay and try and gun it rather than run it through the map, that sort of thing?
Sort of. There will be two different ones that one is not yet implemented, but will come like super soon. That's a bit more in the direction that you mentioned now, like I don't know, weekly tasks or daily tasks, like do this and do that, and just to try to encourage you to play maybe something specific that you usually don't play, or just engage again with the game so you get some rewards. But in the other, there's another part that's basically gameplay, actual events, like I don't know, like a checkpoint course where you have to go from the beginning to the end, passing through all the rings to get some rewards. The other thing that I mentioned with this enemy, like you can think of about it like this classic imp from Diablo that's like roaming around, and then you have to kill it super fast, otherwise he's gonna escape. And if you do it, you get a lot of stuff. Things a little bit in this direction. That's I don't know. Some
Galactic, they have, for example, the one that is like a capsule that comes from the sky, and you need to clean the area around to get it, because they have like the mechanic that you can mine the walls or the obstacles that they have. So something falls from the sky and you need to clean the area around because fits their mechanics or things like that. That at the same time that you're doing the run, at the same time that you're leveling up and doing what you should do, you have that small extra if you want to do it and if you have time to do it, of course.
Yeah, that sounds great. That adds to like the replayability too, definitely.
Yeah.
Which we always like when our games can be played a couple times when it's an option. So what makes the enemy AI in like Driveloop so unique? And how do the different enemy types play into forcing the players to like adapt their strategies?
I would say that movement, like the big difference between our enemies usually are, or most of them, is about how they behave, not how they move, I would say, because the movement, we don't have any crazy stuff, but it's more how they behave or how they attack you, right? So I would differentiate maybe in 2 or 3 types. Like there is the melee ones that if you change the speed of how they move, they are already be different, because of course, depending on the turn that you do with the car, they're gonna hit you or not, because depending on the speed that they move to you. Then there is the ranged ones that by themselves are already a bit different, because they're not going to go super close to you. They're going to shoot from far. So it's not just waiting for them. You cannot literally wait for them. And also the projectile that they shoot kind of slow. So you need to avoid it, right? You need to change. You need to make an active decision of the enemies that you have around, where you want to go, and which projectile or which obstacles you want to avoid, right? And then we also have, it's enemies, it's a completely different type, that is like formations. So for example, like we have a line, right, of enemies that is coming to you, but not to you directly, but in a line, in a formation, so it's going to go past you, but it's blocking you. This is similar to the ones that others have, that is a circle around you, around the player. So you're kind of blocked, and you need to make a decision of, okay, which direction do I go? Do I avoid the line, or actually makes more sense to go through the line, get a bit of damage because I have a lot of enemies behind me? Like also all these together make you change directions. That I would say is very, very important for a game that is controlling a car, because you cannot just go in the opposite direction right away. Like if was a character, you need to actually plan the turn that you need to do with the car. Even if it's drifting, there is a turn or like an angle, like that you need to do, or a movement that you need to do. All this together forces the player to decide what wants to do, and to not just go straight or stay in place, or
I mean, we also have the kamikaze
right.
enemies, which is just like drones, like suicide drones that go towards you super fast, and if you don't avoid them or kill them before they reach you, they explode. And also, of course, it's the boss of Berlin for now, because we only have one for now, but there will be more in the future. And he's basically like a big giant scorpion, like robotic scorpion, that's having 3 or 4 different abilities, and yeah, it's just completely different to the other ones. Of course, it has a lot of health, and it appears in the end of the run if you survive it for the 15 minutes. And once you kill him, then you can actually extract the map, and then you won. The map is not only surviving, also you have to kill the bad guy. And yeah, there will be more of these ones with completely different abilities, each of them. At some point, also, we want to introduce not something like elite enemies. I mean, we have already elite, they just have more HP, but we want them to have also some different abilities and to be more like an event rather than just
Like
another
mini
enemy that
bosses.
comes to, yeah, mini bosses, something like this. There will come more enemy types. We are also planning on having like enemy turrets, for example, that they don't move, and they just shoot at you and maybe just deploy them. And also for the player, this will be a cool ability to have, like the classic turret that's on your side that's shooting with you. But for enemies also, we want to use them as also in the events, maybe for trying to defend one area that you have to conquer, something like this. So yeah, I mean, I have a lot of ideas, so it's gonna come at some point, all of them.
No, it sounds like you do have a lot of ideas, which is exciting, and it seems to work well with it. And it sounds like a lot of the like smaller, more common enemies, the way that the player will handle them also kind of depends on what way they set up their like car and things like that. Like, it's like, do I want to just run through these guys, or am I equipped to handle it differently? Like, it sounds like a lot of things will affect like the strategy that the player decides to go with.
Yeah, exactly. Because each car is gonna have different weapons and also different each car is an archetype. Then inside the car, when you level up, etc., there is different weapons for that car and also different variants for the car. So it changes a bit how the vehicle is played, right? So yeah, of course, depending on what you choose, depending on the vehicle that you chose, yeah, it's going to change your playstyle, of course. Yeah. That's the idea, at least, yes.
I saw something mentioned about a synergy system. Can you talk more about that and how the players combine different like upgrades or things for optimal builds?
Yeah, so this is kind of like the final evolution of your weapon, kind of the weapons, the crew members, which are these guys that you or girls. I mean, they have no distinction. That you can pick them up on the map every few levels that you level up, and basically they just are like a weapon that's shoots automatically. And on the last level of these ones, the idea is that you can merge these these weapons from them with another item that you have, that you might have, because you might or you might not, because you can't merge them with absolutely all of them, because that would be a crazy amount of variations and stuff. But with two of them, so you have to decide what if you want to try to synergize these weapons with some spare parts, which are these items that you can get when you level up, or if you want just to ignore them and just pick the build exactly that you need in the spare parts and the crew members that you want. And if there's maybe something that you can merge, good. If not, up to you. I mean, that's
I would say it's the last piece of building your builds, basically.
Yeah.
It's like the last step. Like, I guess when someone starts, doesn't care much about that because doesn't even know the combinations. But more you play, more you know the different crew members that you can pick up, the different items or the spare parts, we call it, that you can pick up. And at some point you start seeing the combinations. And it's a way of, okay, now you know the game, then you should start building your build since the beginning. You know, like, okay, I got this crew member, I'm going to pick up actually this item because I know that when I level both up, they can merge and fit to my build. So like, it's just the last decision once you actually know combination, once you actually know the content of the game. At the beginning, I don't think, I mean, you can be lucky, of course, that you pick two that can merge, but it's not like an active decision.
I can tell you're that you get a lot of ideas while you're developing. It seems like y'all enjoy creating this game because there are a lot of options and things added in. So I think that's always nice to see. You can always tell when people enjoy working on what they're working on.
Yeah, I mean, Borja, he, for example, plays a lot of Survivors. I play some, but less than him. But he loves Survivors, I would say.
Yeah, I'm starting to. I mean, I still like them, but every time that I play, it's basically work.
You're like analyzing it, right?
Yeah, getting ideas. You're saying, "Oh, they did this way, and that's cool. This is I don't like." I start to not enjoying them so much, but
yeah, also
I like them.
Also, the problem with Survivors is that was a trend, still a trend, but like started a trend some time ago. And there is very good games, but there is also a lot of, I'm not going to say bad games, but just not there. They copy more than actually try to do something new. So when you try, because I don't usually play those. I analyze them. I talk about them with Borja, etc. But he plays them because he loves Survivors or likes very much at least to try them. And yeah, it's just a lot of decisions that maybe doesn't make sense, but they just put them because, you know, if you're copying or not copying, but you're getting ideas from other games, it's very easy to actually fall into I'm going to add this because it's cool, even though it doesn't fit my game. maybe.
Oh, right. Yeah, or if you're like learning to develop the game while you're trying to develop a game.
Yeah,
I see that with like, and it's totally fine. Like it's always good to like branch out. Like if you get an idea just to see if you can do it technically. But yeah, I could see how that could be a detrimental to some games if you're just like, oh, I got this other idea. I want to see if I can implement and let me just throw it into the game.
Yeah, exactly.
And it doesn't actually fit. Because it is when you're like, I remember when I was first learning programming, I was like, this is so cool. I can literally do anything. And then it was like, you do want to just try every single thing you think of. And sometimes all those thoughts don't go well into one single game.
Most of the time, if you don't like have a very well-defined scope, what is going to happen is that it's going to be a mix of a lot of things that maybe they don't fit together. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yep.
Yeah, we all been there for sure. Yeah.
Were you going to say something, Borja?
No, just agreeing.
Were there any like unexpected mechanics or features that emerged during development, like any specific ones that stand out that have made it into the final game? Or what will be potentially the final game? I feel like we've discussed a few things that y'all were debating throwing in, but is there anything that's like already implemented where it was definitely not expected, but it ended up fitting a lot better than you thought it would?
I can think on one thing that I proposed some time ago, and I would actually like to explore this idea again, but maybe it doesn't make much sense. It's having day-night or at least daytime cycles inside the run, which is once for sounds good, but I don't know if in 15 minutes makes sense to switch or to change the lights so much. So we had something in between, and now we have 3 different daytimes for each map, and they are tied in the beginning to difficulties. So normal or easy, it's morning, then evening, and then night. And after you finish the last difficulty, then you can choose freely the daytime you want to play in and not tied to the difficulty. So I think it was a good in between of what I wanted and something that actually came up in the middle of the development, because I thought, wouldn't it be cool to have, I don't know, like night or see how the lights starting to go down. But maybe it was too much. I mean, it's 15 minutes. It's not crazy.
Yeah.
So
will be like 15 hours and 15 minutes.
Yeah. I mean, that's okay. I guess people can understand the license we take for how fast time goes there.
Right. I
But
think
still, I think it's fine how it is now.
it does add to the, like, when you watch like survivalist type movies and stuff, there are always those scenes where it's like, we got to get this done before nighttime starts, or like, we got to get through this during the nighttime because during the day they're all going to be active. And like, so yeah, it would make sense to add like maybe some suspense. I see where your head is going with that.
You gave me an idea. I'm gonna note it down.
Yeah, just tied to like some type of like story, right? Because that, I don't know, if you have like a mission, like you say, right? Like we need to, I don't know, get out of here before night or something. Could actually be a mission part of the story.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know if we're gonna have like a big story with like episodes, etc. But if at some point we have, could fit. I would like it actually.
It ties in. I do want to ask some like more technical questions, like what game engine are you developing in, and is there a particular reason why you're using that one?
I mean, I guess both of us is different reason, but we're using Unreal. My background is Unity, or was Unity, not anymore. And I would say that for me, there were 2 main reasons for why I want to use Unreal. One was to get more expertise on it, to have more experience on it. And the other one was also that in Unity, for our type of game, you need to do very like low level stuff and like data oriented code. And if I'm going to do something that is really complicated, I'm going to C++. That was my thought, basically, because we were doing in Unity already, like with job system, we were doing basically C, like plain C. And if I'm going to do plain C, why not jump directly to C++? That is going to be more friendly than that. So that was my main reasons. Yeah.
And what's your reasons?
Just with this last years with Unity, this enchanting that we all had with all the bad things that they did, and even if they took them back somehow, it's really bad aftertaste of working in Unity and saying, I don't think this is gonna be the final engine. It's never going to be the final engine, but you think about like, okay, maybe 10, 15 years, 20 years, how is it going to be the industry? Because I want to keep, I want to be updated on the technology stack that we are going to use for hopefully until I retire. And then I don't want to spend more time in a piece of software that it's not most likely, but Unreal is taking over. And Godot is also taking over Unity. So why staying in this boat and just I don't know, not lose time, because you always learn. Is you can extrapolate all this knowledge to other engines, but still, it's still time that you are not 100% on a software that you're gonna be using maybe in 10 years, or at least that's my perspective now on how the industry will, and it's shifting already. So basically, I just wanted to. I knew already some Unreal, but I wanted to dive deep into it, and this seemed like a good opportunity to do it while doing a commercial game and doing it for ourselves, not being under the umbrella of a big company that's gonna be probably solving all your problems kind of easily. So we have to hit a lot of walls and solve a lot of problems that almost nobody had, because we're using if Santiago wants to talk about later, we're using ECS, let's say, for in Unreal with a plugin that's helping us handling a lot of things. And yeah, so the thing is, this kind of working, this, I don't know how to explain exactly, but it's making you learn faster than if you would work with someone that's solving all your problems, especially also with Unreal, because there's not much documentation. Not many people uses like things outside of Blueprint. Yeah, a lot of people do C++, but it's every layer of complexity that you add, there's like 90% less of information online. So you're alone with the problems, which means that you learn a lot. So
to add into that, with our experience with Unity, because we were using Unity for long, we also saw how Unity as a company was behaving. Not as a company only, but also how the updates come, how they solve issues that we had as developers. And for me, it was just not enough. Like we were like the last 2 years before actually switching, we were already talking about, like in between developers, talking about how the trust to the Unity company is like fading away slowly. So it was just the good opportunity to, in Stunbyte context, when we created the company, it was like a good decision, in my opinion, to have the foundation in an engine that we trust, or at least in a framework that we trust, because Unreal is not perfect and it's never going to be. But at least it's a stronger foundation for what we want to do than Unity.
It's unfortunate because a lot of the indie devs I've spoken with have brought up how Unity doing those like things that they were doing with trying to charge per download and stuff. A lot of people have been talking about how they've lost faith in they lost trust in Unity, which is unfortunate, because for me, Unity has a special place because like in my heart, because that was the first engine that I used to make my first game. And like, even not just me, but like I think Unity and Unreal both are really great tools, and like it does make game development accessible to people, and they both are very different tools, even though they can do similar things. And so it's nice that there's the option for people to find whatever they're most like comfortable in, you know. But it is unfortunate. Like,
yeah, it is completely.
I hope they come back. I hope they regain.
I do also.
Yeah. The thing, one of the things is also that, I mean, you can't compete with open code, with open source engine, and that's, I mean, Godot has that. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen in the future. You know, a lot of people's like thinking, maybe it gets bought by something, by some association or whatever, and they decide to close it. You still can do forks, any fork that you want, and continue the work. And I understand kind of the fear, but I think it's just a positive aspect, because I mean, Unity is already there. You can't have the code, so you can have the code right now for Godot. Maybe in the future not, but then it's the same as Unity, but better.
In Unity you can,
or at least better for some time.
To source code, but you need to pay the fee. That last time that the last info that I had was around like $20,000 or something like that. So of course, for an indie, it just doesn't make sense, right? Or for a small company, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
I guess that also doesn't make sense. That it's like they eventually hope to make money off the games that get released with Unity. So it seems like it would make sense to not charge $20,000 if that would help make the games, if having like access to that source code would make the games better. But I don't know. I'm not like leader of a big company. I don't know what all goes into that stuff. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I don't know why. Yeah,
that I would say that is the main difference. Also, like now that we're talking about this topic, is that Epic uses that engine or Unreal to do games, right? Mm-hmm. And then they develop the engine on the side. Sure, it's also a tool that they sell. Sure, they get some money from it, but I bet they don't get much. It's not like in percentage, probably it's not much. But Unity is their product, right? Unity exists for that purpose.
Right.
So it's a very different like perspective or context for them. They need to get money from the engine. Unreal is not made to only for making money. It's also for them to do games, right? And right now, I guess it's just Fortnite, right? But they improve it for Fortnite, so at some point, the novel developers get those changes.
I agree with that.
Yeah. So even though maybe, like, I'm not saying that Epic is better than Unity Company or whatever, but the tool itself is going to be, at least that's how it feels, it's going to be more stable just for that reason. Because one tries to get my money, the other doesn't, right?
Yeah. I mean, I understand what kind of stability you mean. I hope you don't mean, I think you don't mean technical stability, because that's...
No. Both have problems, both have a lot of bugs.
Yeah.
They're great tools, both. I wouldn't like... Yeah. If someone tells me to start today, game development, I would say probably Unity still. Unity is like very friendly. You don't need a strong base to start. That maybe if you're advanced, that could be a problem, because you need to curate your framework, right? But at the same time, if you're you're starting, you just can, in 5 minutes you have something running. In Unreal, it's not like that. Not at all.
I don't really
when you know, yes, but
yeah, I think Unreal is just less friendly, but it comes with many more things out of the box. So the easiest way to get, I don't know, just doing a shooter in couple hours with obviously basic stuff, but you can do a lot of things with the basic stuff that they give you. Still, I don't know if I would use...
You would recommend it?
For learning, yeah.
No. Like someone wants to start, right? Like just someone asks you, I want to check on game. We all have this question sometimes, right? Yeah. Of someone that comes, where I should start? Of course, learning, but the tool, I would go for Unity.
Depends if you want to learn programming or not, or if you know already programming or not. Which is fun, because programming in Unreal is more hardcore than in Unity, but at the same time you can do just blueprints, and that's probably a super easy way for someone to understand how a system works.
Could be.
the UX of Unreal is a little bit shit compared to Unity, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But I think it got better from the Unreal 4 to Unreal 5. So I don't know.
Still clunky
I think there's
if you
no
compare.
wrong option. I think it's up to trying the three main ones and just see what you feel more comfortable with.
I didn't mean to
Yeah,
start a
exactly.
fight between y'all.
No, don't worry.
Okay.
That's the day-to-day developing Driveloop.
Right.
Debating about.
I'll say like I agree. I think Unreal has a lot of like right out of the box. Like if you're doing a first person shooter, you can basically jump right into some like base project that they've built.
And
They do
play, yeah.
offer a lot of things. Also I do agree that like hearing that they were so successful with Fortnite that they developed in Unreal and then we're putting back a lot of that Fortnite money into further development of Unreal was also like reassuring, or like it drew me over to it for sure. Because they are actually developing in it. And so they do encounter probably similar bugs that other people do as well. I will say the documentation, it's gotten a little better, but it was not good. Like I would look up like certain methods and stuff, and it would just like say for an example, like a method was like open bag method or something, and I would look it up. It would just be like open bag method. It opens the bag, and this is a method. And I'd be like, "Am I a joke to you?" Like
maybe the parameters or whatever. You know,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
of course, that's
it.
all the
So-
parameters are defined
Yeah.
for sure. But the rest, come on.
Yeah. So yeah, but I think that's something that as like the community is growing with it is getting better over time too.
I think so. Yeah, it's getting better slowly.
I think what's getting better is actually because of the community, because there's some blogs that are basically the documentation libraries for stuff that are much better. Like I forgot the name.
Yeah, I never remember the property one.
Ben UI, I think it was. Yeah. This guy it's gold. He's having a lot of stuff for UI that's making you understand how stuff works, and because sometimes don't get me started with UI of Unreal.
So shifting back to like kind of general development questions, what was the biggest challenge that you faced just as an indie team while developing Driveloop?
Everything that is not developing, I would say. Everything that is like managing a company, like paperwork, marketing, key art, the trailer, even if we do it in-house, it's work that is moving you away from developing. All this stuff, basically. Social media, posts, I don't know, all this stuff, I would say. It needs a lot of time. We're not expert on it because at least we have a lot more experience developing, but not doing social media stuff or all this stuff. And also needs money behind all that. Paperwork needs money. If you want someone to do art for your game, needs money.
Right.
Which is the hardest part, I would say.
That makes sense.
I know you were, huh?
I don't have anything to add. It's exactly how I feel.
Yeah.
And I think also especially, not especially, I don't know actually how it's in US about paperwork and how much time it takes to create a company or bank account for a company and stuff like this. But at least compared to Spain, which is where we both are from, it's much worse, much harder to get everything. Not sure.
You mean Germany?
In Germany, sorry.
Yeah, okay,
yeah. I don't want to think, and I think it's not because we're not German, because our third one, Pavel, is actually German. So it's just due to the country's
for him also.
love for paperwork and long processes and this kind of things. But it's also on top of everything. Like you can't do anything smooth. It's always a hassle and a problem.
I would say also it's an extra problem for us that we're developers, right? We work with PCs, like we like this stuff, and we're very used to use online banking, online everything. And in Germany, the digitalization is not very good. So there is a lot of things that you need to actually send post, right? So like you need to send
Fax.
papers, receive, different, basically not online. So it makes everything slower. Just it's an extra step for everything that you do.
Yeah, my first thought
This time,
obviously is like anytime you like move to a new place, it takes a while to like get through that. I'm sure, like your passport and stuff, it takes weeks.
from US, I guess, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I go back and forth because I'm like, I feel like digitalization is like obviously the best route and like the fastest route. I don't know if I doubt that this is maybe what's influencing this, but it is also obviously less secure. I don't know. It depends on like what kind of documents you're transmitting, but anytime anything goes even on your computer, it's way less secure than like files that I have over here. But yeah, I don't know. I surely there's some like happy medium that
I think that's their excuse, not their reason.
Oh, okay.
Because it's true, though. I'm not saying that it's not true, but there is ways to do it more securely. Just that they don't. I don't know. Like I'm not blaming them neither. It's just how it is, right? And makes everything slower.
Yeah. So speaking on like community and future plans, how has player feedback shaped like Driveloop's development? Were there any like significant changes made based on sort of feedback that you've received during like play testing or anything?
Yeah, changes, like big changes, I wouldn't say so. Like design changes, probably not many, but improving the game a lot. Like thanks to feedback and people playing and their opinions basically shaped how the design is done, even though didn't remove a system completely or something like that, because I think it was very, very tied together, everything. Like there was nothing that was like very strange or that didn't fit or something like that, but shaped those systems for sure, and also gave us a lot of ideas that maybe they're not in the game yet or not in the form that they gave us, but they're in the backlog, and there is a lot of ideas that we want to introduce that came from players. That for sure. Yes.
Yeah. I don't have much to add. It's just a lot of small stuff that makes everything more complete, more rounded.
Yeah.
We want to continue that route. That's one of the reasons why we do also early access, and why we like the thing that we must push is the Discord, and it's just because of that, because we want to actually try to build a community that help us improve also Driveloop, not just us making decisions and then people plays and that's it. We want them to actually participate on it.
Yeah, that's important.
And about the feedback, because I think you also asked about this. Yeah, we've been receiving like a lot of positive feedback, aside of a small box or things to improve that. Actually, a lot of people did a lot of constructive feedback. We don't have, I think for now, we don't have any haters saying, "No, this is bullshit. This is just boring. Just nothing at all like that." So that's, I guess, good sign, or I don't know. And yeah, overall, almost everybody, I think, believes. If you believe them, of course, but I want to think they're saying it from their hearts, that they have the game has a lot of potential and could become something quite interesting and somehow apart from all the survivors, but still not going so far away that it's completely different. So that's a good thing. You have the familiarity of survivors, but with freshness and something unique to it. So yeah, we are quite happy with the response that we've been seeing on people playing the demo or some beta tests that we did in the beginning.
Yeah, I saw the Discord, and I think that's great when indie developers kind of communicate with, and not just communicate with, but actually build like the community. Like you're setting up the foundations for a community around your game. And then, yeah, also taking in that feedback is important. So yeah, that's cool.
And also it's smart, and I would say that's also good advice for everybody who's actually like starting on the indie journey, and it's not only like where you get all the feedback. It's just building a community, but not only for the game, also for your company, because when you do the second game, you have all this fan base already that's aware of who you are and what you do. So it's pretty important to maintain this community alive and engaged, and yeah, they're just throwing stuff. And I mean, I'm gonna say this, and it's been weeks since I don't post much in the Discord, but we've been crunching so hard that I don't have time for much. But
No
it's
time for Reddit.
um,
No time for Reddit.
yeah, yeah, but it's really really important to
Yeah.
try to feel make the people feel that they are in the process of also making the game. That's a good an important thing to create on the community.
Yeah, I agree. I also understand not being as active. There's so many social media sites. It's so hard to keep up with all of them. Like, it's great being able to communicate with people and like reach a wide audience, but damn, it is a full-time job. Like 100%. Yeah. So given Driveloop's like fast-paced combat and like tactical driving, do you see potential for a multiplayer or co-op mode?
So one of the ideas actually of a player, like very very early in the development, was actually to have like a cooperative mode where you can, like, a player controls the car and the other one controls the weapon. That still, we don't know if we're gonna do it, but it's one of the ideas that, like, as an example of the previous topic, that they give feedback and we kind of like. I don't know if it's gonna happen, but it's a cool idea. And about cooperative or like, I mean, local co-op, the problem is the splitting screen. I don't think,
Right.
or we never thought that was a good idea to splitting the screen survivors, because then your visibility is like a lot lower.
Right.
I guess if you do it in a super big screen could make sense, but then you're limited to people that has smaller screens, or
Right.
how
Yeah.
you do that. And online, I have network background. I would love to try. We have, I mean, the systems that we did are not like very like mega hard to implement for multiplayer. But since we have a lot of enemies, like we're talking about hundreds, thousands of enemies, doing all that real time could be a bit too much. I don't know, but could be that that would be basically too much data to send. But we could maybe try it. So I would like to try it in the future.
I do love seeing, well, yeah, whenever someone's driving and the other person's shooting, it does create some pretty funny
would be cool.
moments.
Yeah.
I
think can work also for social media, so like if two play
Yes.
together or something like that.
Very
That could be cool,
streamable.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think one thing you have going for you on like the network side is both players would be shown the same thing on the screen, like, so you don't have to at least account for like them seeing different things. Like it's basically replicating the exact same thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it can get complicated in Unreal really fast when like online and multiplayer is something that is added in after development.
Yes. And even if it was not added in afterwards, like we say, we do like most of our code is data oriented, meaning that we don't have any networking from Unreal there. Like
Right.
Even the components don't support it, so we would need to do it from scratch anyways.
Okay, yeah.
Maybe
that's another thing you write down for Driveloop too.
Yeah, could be. Yeah.
So my last real question is, like, have you thought about what's next for the studio? Are there any other projects in the pipeline, or are you just focused on getting Driveloop? Is that like your main focus right now?
I mean, it's the main focus right now, for sure.
Yeah.
Especially even after early access, because we don't want to just release early access and then slow down. We want to actually have at least, I don't know exactly, but I guess a year minimum of like very constant updates to improve quickly the game. So for like short side, probably nothing else, but we have ideas in the backlog. That for sure. Always, right? Like which game dev doesn't have ideas that wants to do, right?
Right,
Yeah.
right.
We all can be the idea guy.
Yeah, exactly. So I do have two just like shorter questions that I want to ask. So if you had 30 seconds to give advice to someone looking to develop a game like yours, what advice would you give? Do y'all both want to try answering?
Sure.
I'm thinking now.
Okay, I can go if you want.
Yeah.
Okay, we're imagining that's for commercial games, I guess. So, like, it's not just a hobby or something that you do in the side on the side time of your evenings or whatever, but you really want to do it like properly. So I guess the main thing for me, at least, or two main things are scope is very important, and related to this, how much time you project a task or a set of tasks will be is never enough. Keep that in mind for sure. 100% is never enough. So this 30% rule of whatever time you think it's 30% more, add 30% to that 30%.
Smart.
You have never enough time. So keep this and don't try to be positive ever. Don't ever try to be positive on this. Like, don't think, I think we'll be finished. No, never.
No.
Because one only time, it's gonna be not like that, and then you're screwed. So you better do the opposite. Go to the other extreme, saying, okay, it was too much time, but now I did it faster, so that's good.
Yeah.
And the other, marketing from day zero, like completely, like, you can't do promotion, but you can start building social networks. You can start building connections with other people, other devs, Discord server, trying to build everything from the very beginning. Don't say, I will start later, and when I have something to show. No, doesn't matter if you don't have anything to show. You have words. You can use them to engage with anybody. I mean, just do it. It's never too late. It's never too early. Sorry.
No, that's great advice. Yeah. Do you have anything? Yeah.
Yeah. So for this type specific of game, I would say that you need to get your base systems together as quick as possible, because I would say it's the most, not complex, but it's the hardest for, especially if you don't have background in programming. If you have, if that person has, of course, it's going to be easier. But knowing that you can actually achieve that, because the survivor is about having a lot of enemies, a lot of things happening in the screen, and you need to know that you can make that, because if not, you're gonna be limited there, and you basically gonna be less fun everything, because you will need to limit all your builds or your effects, everything. And then I agree with what he said at the end. Just your Steam page ready as fast as possible, or as early as possible. Like people need to know that you exist. Like they need to have a place where to put that they want the game. So wish list, social media, etc., as early as possible. Because if you do it 1 month before releasing, you're dead. Your game is dead. It doesn't matter if it's a good game. It's just no one is going to notice it.
Yeah, you're right.
That would be. Yeah.
Both gave good advice. And then my last question is, summarize the indie game development experience in 3 words.
I thought about this and I forgot, but I think it was something like fun but painful.
That's good.
Yeah, I don't know. There is too many. I would say. Yeah, I would say painful but worth it.
Painful but worth it. That's 4, but I'll take it. Because that's also true. I agree. So yeah, So that's all the questions that I have for you. I appreciate y'all coming in to talk. Yeah, I think it's been.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I've really
Thank you
enjoyed
for
this.
having us here. It was really fun.